Welcome to Executives at the Edge, a podcast brought to you by MEF. I'm your host, Pascal Menezes. Join me as we explore thought-provoking perspectives from the leaders and changemakers who are propelling enterprise digital transformation forward. Well, I'm really excited today to have Mauricio Sanchez, Senior Research Director, Enterprise Networking and Security Market Research for Dell'Oro. Mauricio, welcome to Executives at the Edge. So exciting to have you here. It's been a long time since I've really seen you, talk to you. Looking forward to seeing you at one of these conferences. But if you could, for our listeners, please just talk about your background and really about Dell'Oro to begin with. That'd be really great.
Well, first, thanks, Pascal, for having me join you here today. Again, my name is Mauricio. I've been here at Dell'Oro for 3 years, and Dell'Oro is a quantitative market research firm based out of the Silicon Valley. We've been around over 25 years and really set the standard when it comes to quantitative market tracking, so market shares, revenue estimates, be able to tell where the markets are going. And I happen to own a pretty wide swath of technologies covering the enterprise networking outside of the campus and data center, which I've got colleagues who cover that. So when it comes to the WAN, SD-WAN on the enterprise, that's my bailiwick, as well as all things network security. So you can buy networking security. What do you get? SASE. So I've been known to in the marketplace to drive a lot of SASE research. My own background has always been in networking security. As curious as that may sound, I spent 17 years at HP doing both of those, and then 4 at Intel, and I came over to, like I said, Dell'Oro 3 years ago. And again, really happy to be here and hopefully be able to impart a couple pearls of wisdom to your listeners.
Well, Mauricio, you certainly are a rock star in SASE. We see your name everywhere, and got a lot of questions on SASE for you. But I do want to talk about, I think you just said that you released the NAS report. Is that correct?
Yes. Before we started recording, I mentioned that I published my first research into the wonderful world of NAS, because NAS is such an overloaded term. So maybe first is kind of quantify the way that I defined it for the purposes of my report. In the broadest context, it's being able to consume network services in the similar fashion that we've gotten accustomed to consume cloud services, right? So IaaS and PaaS. And the way that I see it is that inside the enterprise WAN, there's transformations afoot on the WAN edge with the user edge. So we're going to probably talk about SASE in that regard. That's kind of where I fit SASE in. There's also a very interesting things happening on the cloud edge, the application edge, which I also tracked. And when you get into things like multi-cloud networking and being able to stand up network services very quickly. And last but not least, I think there's a reinvention happening in the middle mile. Right? Kind of the core WAN enterprise networks are moving in a direction again of going from static enterprise class routers with MPLS to, again, network services that are on-demand, subscription-driven, no differently than compute as now consumed in public cloud service providers. And so you put NAS on top of that. That's kind of how I then look at NAS for my particular report. But like I said, NAS is overloaded and perhaps means slightly different things to different people.
Well, I think network as a service in general has been around for a decade, but I think it's evolved now to become more relevant in the era of clouds, where back then I think it was all about network connectivity. And I think network as a service is to have that cloud-like experience, as you talked about, elasticity, on-demand, full automation. And as you described, I think what we're seeing is this emergence of the first mile being some kind of wired or wireless internet loop, mainly DIA, dedicated internet access, and then hitting an edge. And from that edge, you pick up all kinds of services, including SASE services, SD-WAN. Mm-hmm. Then you hit the middle mile. And interesting you talk about the middle mile. That's a very interesting way, because we don't go on the internet any further. We're now on a business network, the middle mile network. And that middle mile network is now connected to all kinds of clouds directly with direct connects. So there is no internet anymore. The only internet is the first mile loop. Do I have that correct? Do you see it the same way?
Yeah, Absolutely right. Some people call it engineered internet. Other people call it in the words that you use. So you're absolutely right. Is that these overlaid logical networks that provide extra services beyond just the pure connectivity that we came from.
And you see NAS encompassing all of that, but you didn't talk about NAS in the campus itself. We're seeing now. NAS actually emerge as the totality, not only from the cloud, the middle mile, and the edge, but now into the campuses with Wi-Fi, private
Yes.
5G, and LAN. So that totality is now becoming NAS with cybersecurity built in, with the connection to all the multi-clouds, with all that underlay transport, and then even with SD-WAN, to traffic steer that application performance. So all of that is how we're defining NAS inside MEF, including with the whole ecosystem and certification, as we'll talk about at our global NAS event in October.
That makes perfect sense. The only reason I didn't touch on campus because that's my counterpart. So here at the lower, we split it across two analysts. So I cover the from the WAN edge to the cloud or the outside the campus. But you're absolutely right that this is a spectrum that encompasses the entire enterprise network, and in some respects, you can look at our reports and say, okay, the sum of what we report as being the opportunity in the campus, together with the sum that I then built for the rest of the network, is kind of the total NAS market. And I guess for the viewers that haven't seen that press release, I said that over the next 5 years, from 2023 to 2027, the cumulative spend across these three theaters that I described is going to approach $60 billion. So it's a very going to be very lucrative market for the vendors that are able to get into that space.
Did you say 6 billion or 60 billion?
60.
Oh, 60. That's quite a nice chunk of change.
Yes.
Yes. And so look, hey, Mauricio, you're the SASE guru out there. See your name everywhere, the rock star. So talk.
I play one on TV. And so yes.
Yeah, talk about SASE. So what is SASE and why is it necessary?
Well, look, let's take a step back and understand what's been happening before even SASE came afoot, right? It's like as a term. In the enterprise WAN, particularly on the branch and the smaller branches, we started to embrace software-defined networking 10 years ago, which was what became SD-WAN in the mid 2010s. At around the same time, on the network security side, and going back to the late 2000s, the network security architectures have been about hardware appliances. That was a classical approach at the internet gateway, that the stick your appliance. And one of the ones that became quite popular were secure web gateways to protect user traffic. As things evolved over the 2010s, those appliances started to move into the cloud. So kind of the instance, and I use Zscaler as my example because they were one of the first vendors out there to do this, is to take what used to be a network appliance that sat on-prem, delivered it as a cloud service by instantiating a cloud that then you connect to, and it does the security scrubbing. Now, as the pandemic came into view, you started to see a couple of very interesting challenges come into view. You had the hybrid work as an element that all of a sudden, or maybe better said, remote work, because we were all working remotely during the pandemic. So the enterprise workforces were sent home, and everyone needed to work from home, and that caused all sorts of pain because enterprise network architects or network teams weren't ready for that, and so that caused a whole commotion. And then at the same time, applications became internet hosted, which meant that when you're on the branch, for whatever small community was going to the branch still, or more so now post-pandemic, or in this post-pandemic era, as people return to the office, now all these applications are being pushed to the internet, right? Because we were doing things remotely. So you had these two large inflection points or accelerations of trends that were already probably happening: the remote work, and the fact that applications became much more internet-based and moving to being cloud, some form of a setting off in the cloud. And so the remote work caused this attention to security and being cloud delivered. And then the cloud applications themselves then caused, hey, we need to transform our branches and our network architecture to be able to do this more effectively, more productively, because home running traffic to the headquarters and then piping out the internet just doesn't work any longer. And so you had these two worlds that kind of smashed together during the pandemic and say, well, we need to have networking security come together because the workflows make perfect sense. I got to protect users. I got to provide connectivity, regardless of where they're at. I got to make sure my branches, wherever they're stood up, need to be performant because I need my applications are no longer on-prem. They're often in the cloud. And so this kind of set the perfect stage of this marriage of network and security, which we have now blessed as SASE, right? So in its most fundamental terms, I always like to describe SASE as being the combination of SD-WAN class networking together with this cloud-delivered secure web gateway that has now transformed to a number of different security services on top to come together in service of that distributed set of users off on the internet, as well as distributed branches that need to connect to the cloud applications that now run the enterprise. So let me stop there because I've probably said a lot.
No, actually, it was brilliantly said. And actually, it is exactly the truth of what's happened. And I just read an article in SDX Central about a multinational explaining exactly your points of views and why they went to SASE. Now the question is, how do you know you're secure? Like, I don't know if you know this, MEF is coming out and we're launching at GNE, our global NAS event in Dallas. We're launching out the beta of our SASE program, certification program. So what we've come to realize is that many enterprises don't know how they're secure. So our certification program will be one of the finest and first in the world that will actually validate subscribers, enterprises, when they subscribe and buy a service, whether it be from the vendor or from the service provider from anywhere, that, are you secure with a score? And that security is always being updated on a continuous basis, meaning they're testing continuously as a CI/CD process. And it won't just test to MEF standards. It'll test, for the threats, whether it be exploits, evasions, malware. It'll test for application performance, the proper classification of the applications itself, and even, performance and scale and all that kind of stuff. So I think we're really looking at SASE to becoming, as you talked about, a underpinning for NAS. It's truly is an essence of the NAS that makes NAS modernized, where the old NAS was just about, network connectivity at the underlay. The more modern NAS is just not the underlay, but the overlays with multi-cloud coming together in a fully automated way. And the first question, and I remember reading this article, is this multinational had to test the SASE service itself. That is a massive feat to figure out if that SASE service is going to secure them as a multinational. That, to me, that's ludicrous that some customer has to go and find out how well the security posture. What's your thoughts on that?
No, that's not a new problem under the sun, right? The need to have independent verification of solutions has existed from nearly the beginning of the security industry, and so I'm not surprised, and I applaud the efforts of any organization such as MEF to go after and be a beacon of independence to be able to provide some level of validation. So I think that has always been part of the picture when it comes to the cybersecurity industries, is that there have been outfits to do independent verification. I think the difficulty with SaaS is because it combines both the networking and not just the security, and it's a much more complicated environment. And but from a value proposition, I'm not. I think any company is going to go through that thinking about, hey, how do I verify that what I'm buying is actually what it is doing, what it says it's doing.
Yeah, and if you think about, we buy today, TVs and Wi-Fi's, and there's always a certification that's kind of branded that gives me a level of confidence that I don't have to think about or test or worry about, but either interoperability or will perform right. And I think what's been missing, and I think, if you look at the SD-WAN market just by itself, it started about 2012, 2011, we can argue.
Okay.
About 10 years, and really hasn't really gone to the $80 billion markets over 10 years. You see mainly, MPLS and Ethernet technologies back then. It's probably 3, 4, 5 billion. It's not very much. That's 10 years later. I think SASE is going to be caught in the same problem. And I think the reasoning is, what standardization does, it creates a great baseline level playing field to create everybody with confidence to jump in and then allow every other vendor and provider to differentiate on top. And I think SASE is going to face the same challenges if there's not going to be a level of confidence in the market. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that there's without a question, anytime you introduce change in how something is architected or operated, it always takes longer than you expect it to. So I think the efforts, whether it be security certification or conformance testing or standardization, ultimately help to be able to adopt. And I think in different conversations, I've said to you, I'm a big standards believer, right? Because I think when the standards at the right time allow that buy-in by the larger community to say, okay, this is a standard way of doing things, and then when I buy it, I have certain expectations that it's going to be interoperable, it's going to work, it's going to do what I think it's going to do. So in general, I think that's just the cycle that these industries will have to go through.
And I think coupled with generative AI and how it's going to turn on us, I mean, of course, it's used for good, but also used for bad. And, these threat actors and state-sponsored threat actors, and I've been, working with a lot of generative AI, and it just confounds me how advanced this technology is. And
Yes.
it's now going to be used in cybersecurity, both for threat, models and also threat actors, and also to protect ourselves. So do you think that, and I just saw a great article, I won't mention the vendor, talking about that there's like 500, there's burnout in cybersecurity professionals. They're getting 500 false positives that they have to go look at, or 500 alerts a day of potential threats that they have to look at and figure out. It takes them on average, I think, 30 minutes to an hour to figure it out. They're burning out. They don't know if they've covered everything. And I think they're moving to can we get this to real time? Can we use machines to at least get rid of the noise and figure out where the signal is? And I think that, more and more as we see, I think, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, that we are already in a cyber war with many, many state-sponsored nations, and the warfront will not be in physical space; it's in cyberspace. And the infrastructures of the operational technologies, like our pipelines and our ship lines and our grids, if they go down, there's massive confusion in society. So, I'm probably pointing to some gloom and doom here, but I just love to hear your thoughts.
I thought we were going to happen on a nice note.
Yeah, well, I love the nice note. But we have to get on top of this, and I think that's the key point. And so my final closing with you: where does generative AI fit into the whole SASE model, and will it play a predominant role in protecting our society?
Oh boy, that's like asking where is the world going to be in 25 years, Pascal? I think if I gaze into my crystal ball, I think there's already some what I'd say low-hanging fruit in terms of improving the utility in the administrative ease of solutions, and no differently would be SASE or network or security. By that I mean is building an interface with these natural language class of questions. It's amazing. I've seen some of the demos by some of the vendors about what they're able now to do with something like the similar models that are used by ChatGPT. But I think we're really only scratching the surface, because to your point, no one's really taken yet how do we spin all the telemetry that we have to be able to build an AI model that can do exactly what you just described at scale across many classes of network and security technologies. So I think we will see over the next 5 years a lot of innovations. Of course, the hype cycle is probably a little bit running hot right now, but in the near term, the administrative improvements that are already starting to come into view because of using AI technologies in that alone should be, I think, something that all network and security administrators should be jumping up for joy for. And beyond that, I think there's still a lot of runway for us to take advantage from AI.
Totally agree. Mauricio, always a pleasure to talk to you. Always love our our back and forth and our brainstorming and great insights from you. Again, thank you for joining us on Executives at the Edge, and look forward to you being at the Global NAS event in Dallas in early October. And we'll certainly have some good drinks and a great dinner there, that awards dinner, which I know you were a judge of. So looking to see who are the winners there. So thank you again.
Thank you, Pascal. Look forward to it.